Where I'm at? Hey, gang. Welcome back again, gang, to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. And today's thing is so good you could taste it. How to love the sound of your voice and your singing voice. And before we get started, I want to do a couple shout outs to my notification squad. You guys seriously rock. And specifically Furry Murray, man. Furry's like on there. He's the first guy just from North Dakota. Good to have you aboard, Murray, man. You're a faithful dude, and you're going to get this if you keep going after it. I promise it's going to come to you. We got some people coming. I got to make a spectacle out of myself again. And we've got Chris from Seattle. We just talked about Furry from North Dakota. Ruben is on again from Australia. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. That's what I thought. It's like, I have to go to sleep. I'll watch the live stream when it's uploaded. Have a good day, everybody. All right, Ruben, thanks for tuning in with us, man. We've got say John, no, from St. Louis. Good to have you. Dan the Little Man, does that mean you're small? And a few others. Today is going to be really cool. Oh, we've got Akum Toshi from India. We've got Noor Masti from Europe, all the way from we've got Moshin Azadiz, Chester is better, Tunisia, Pakistan. I mean, we got a lot of people on board. I'm gonna have a different kind of conversation with you guys, though some things will be similar. But I want to say thank you. I'm doing this every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I am going to do, let's not forget, I'm going to do a question and answer. So try to make your questions related to this subject matter. And then when it comes time for Q&A, I promise to get to the Q&A questions that are off topic, okay? But I want to get started because I have a lot to cover, and I promise you guys I think you'll really appreciate this. So again, the title is So Good You Can Taste It, Love the Sound of Your Voice. I want to start out with a quote, and the quote is from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. You guys remember Longfellow, the famous poet and playwright, etc.? The human voice is the organ of the soul, okay? We didn't even say singing voice. It says the human voice is the organ of the soul. I've read this before, and I wondered sometimes if that meant like organ as in a liver and a kidney, a part of the body that's expressive, or did he mean organ as in playing an organ? And I think it could be said for both, and he probably means it kind of giving over to interpretation. But I want to start out by saying this before. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Every voice is unique. And I want to put this question out right away. Have any of you guys out there ever been told you can't sing? You can't sing, you're terrible, you'll never be a singer. You guys ever heard that? Well, I want to quote a couple things that remind us a couple backstories, a few people here. It's hard to believe that Enrico Caruso, Enrico, however you want to say his name, Enrique, we say it in English, Enrico in Italian, he was told, the greatest tenor in the whole world, the guy who broke glass with his voice, he hit the high C, was told by his teacher that he had no voice. Let that sink in. Enrico Caruso was told he had no voice. Caruso, more popular than Pavarotti in his day, okay? Equally surprising is that Elvis Presley, when he gave a performance in 1954 at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, was immediately fired by Jimmy Denny, the manager of Grand Ole Opry. And this is what he was told. You ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving that truck. Because Elvis drove a truck for a living at the time. And Jimmy told him, give it up, boy. You're going nowhere. Elvis Presley. I kid you not. Now, the world, I think, personally would have been robbed by some pretty immense talent, if you ask me, if those guys had listened to what others had to say about their singing voices. Now, the music industry is full of recording stars that were once told that they couldn't sing. Barbra Streisand. I'm not exaggerating this, and for all you younger people who don't know this is, you should look some of these guys up. Was turned down again and again for singing engagements. She got so discouraged, she decided she's just going to go into acting because singing wasn't her thing, and singing came second to her acting, or to what her love was when she went after acting. Now, as hard as that is to imagine, guys, this is the truth. So not everyone is going to approve of your singing. But so what? Who cares? Sing anyway. Singing is all about you and how you choose to communicate with a particular lyric or an emotion or something you want to say or a story you want to tell, something you want to express. So stop giving your power away. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're okay. You're already okay, all right? Life is a song that must be sung. It can only be sung by you and your unique story. Don't let your song die within you. Let me say that again. You have a unique song. You have a unique story to tell. Don't let it get squashed or quelled or killed off by others. Don't let it die within you. The reason why so many people, we've talked about, I'm going to say two things. The first thing is, remember me talking last time about singing in the shower, how much better you sound when you're singing in the shower? Well, I want to expound on that a little bit. And the reason why so many people sing in the shower is because they think people can't hear them. So they're unabashed about it. And they have this emotional release, and they're welling up, and their soul comes out, and they just got to sing, right? Well, they have an underlying urge to sing, but they can't stand the sound of their voice being heard by others, or they're afraid to be heard by others. So people are often disappointed that their voice doesn't sound the way they want to. And there's an expectation that voice should sound similar to other professional singers or an artist that they love or whatever. And it's funny because when I think about this, if you really put flesh and blood on this, why people sing in the shower is they have, because no one is listening to them, they're able to be uninhibited and they could just let it all out. But that's the cool thing about it because it's making them happy. They're expressing themselves in ways that they never would have expressed before. Now, I want to relate this to something. I had a neighbor. As you guys know, I lost my studio to lava in Hawaii, not this last July, but July before last. And I had a neighbor. His name was Tom Chi. You can look him up, C-H-I, Tom Chi. He's a really, really famous public speaker for businesses. And he goes in and he fixes businesses like Amazon and like huge companies. He goes in and he tells them what's wrong with the company and so forth. And they listen to him, and he makes all these different fix-its for companies, right? He told me something really interesting. I'll never forget it. He was speaking at this event, and it was a Fortune 500 company conference, right? And he moderated this Fortune 500 company conference where 3 senior vice presidents answered employee questions about professional advancement. Now, I want to slow this down. Here, Tom is a moderator for Fortune 500 companies. There's going to be 3 keynote speakers. He's never met them. He doesn't know who they are. It's 2 men and 1 woman. So he asks, prior to the event, he asks one of the coordinators, can you please give me a cue or point out who these public speakers are? And the answer he got back was, quote, oh no, listen to their voices. Once you hear them speak, immediately you will know that they're the vice presidents. I want to stop there for 1 second and pause and think about that. That their voices commanded such authority that the way they speak, their diction, their vernacular, their choices of words, whatever, commanded so much authority that the minute they spoke, you instantly knew who they were, right? Pretty interesting. We're not even at singing yet. We're just at the speaking level. How to love your speaking voice, how to fall in love with it, how to make it delicious, how to make it like chocolate ice cream, okay? Where people commands attention. Now, their authority and confidence was certainly it, and that you knew it was them without being told. Now, there's something that's called voice confrontation. And I want you guys to think, but you can look this up. It's actually a phrase, okay? And in 2019, there was a Harvard University study, and it was to rate the attractiveness of different recorded voice samples. Now stay with me, guys. I know I'm covering a lot of stuff, but hone in with me. I promise this will be really interesting for you and really help you psychologically and mentally how to get past not loving the sound of your voice, but loving the sound of your voice, okay? Anyway, so they're recording all these voice samples of the attractiveness and different textures of voices. When doing this study, it was kind of a blind study for a lot of people, when certain people's own voices were secretly recorded and mixed with a bunch of other vocal samples, when they went to go rate how they liked the sample or the voices that they heard, they rated their own voices much higher when it was mixed with a bunch of other people than when they were rating their own voice when they knew it was their own voice. Isn't that interesting? When they heard it mixed with a bunch of other voices, collectively, they rated it much higher than when they knew it was their own voice. That should tell us something about the way we think about ourselves. Okay? Very interesting. When we hear ourselves recorded, it's a well-known fact, we think we're hearing one thing when in fact we're really hearing something else. And let me give you an example of this. So, and this is true for singing too, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. In fact, let me take a little sidebar on that. When I sing, my singing voice usually is much higher than my speaking voice. So my speaking voice is much lower and more resonant, more baritone sounding. But when I sing, it's placed much higher because I do that through my exercises. Now, most people, when they hear themselves speak, they hear it back in like their cell phone, or they might hear a recording somewhere, and it's actually pitched a lot higher than the way they think they hear it, okay? That's because the inner ear actually hears your voice pitched lower than what it really sounds like. Well, I hate to break the news to you like I have before, but the recording is your real voice. It's what other people hear anyway, so it doesn't matter. All that matters is what other people hear, right? So, but we usually tend to have this sort of Mickey Mouse kind of sound that we perceive. We got a Mickey Mouse voice. Ew, I don't like the sound of that, right? Well, there's ways to fix this big time, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I want to point out that a lot of this has to do with your perception of your voice and how you can change it into a sound that you love. Okay. Now, these, by the way, these aspects include different, things such as anxiety level, how you speak, or rating the quality of your voice is contingent on a lot of factors, let's say. Anxiety, indecision, sadness, anger, and so on. So emotion, confidence, passion, desire, sincerity, these are all huge in deciding if you like your voice or if you like someone else's voice. When we hear our isolated voice, which is kind of disembodied from us, I want to point something out. Let's say we go up to a podium and we're going to speak for a minute. We are so petrified and terrified if we're not used to public speaking because we don't know if our voice is going to convey all of the thoughts and the preparation and everything we're going up to the microphone to do. It could be a song, it could be a speech. But we don't know that if the sound of our voice is going to command the authority and attention and respect of others for our behavior, our character, or everything it is that is our makeup, our total sum and makeup as a person. We don't believe, we're not confident enough to believe that our voice is going to be able to articulate who we are. So we get scared. Well, it's not going to represent who I am, so I'm not going to say anything, right? Now, I want to back this up one more time because this is also another really important concept, because I want to relate this to singing, and I'm going to get to that later. So hang in there, because this part matters a lot before we get to the singing portion. Now, when we speak, at least when we speak, you and me talking together, we're so used to the sound or to speaking that we're confident in that because we talk a lot, right? Now, there may be things we don't like about our voice, but we're much more confident in our speaking. Well, because we have spoken for many years, we're used to the sound of us, and we're used to how the dynamic and the motor skills and all the different things that go into speaking. We're so used to that, we're pretty confident in it. But we're so not used to singing, and we've sung so little that we're not confident in that, and because of that, we're afraid of it, right? We're scared. We don't believe that we have what it takes to pull this off. Well, because we haven't done it a lot. Now, what if born out of the womb, singing was the norm, and everything you did was singing, and speaking was like singing is today? You rarely spoke, but you always sung everything you did. It'd be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? Everything would be very different because you'd be so used to singing compared to speaking. I'm just reversing the psychology of this so you can see where I'm going with that. Anyway, so it's the way we evaluate our own voice as we routinely do with other people's voices. So we're constantly evaluating, do I like this person's voice? Can I believe what this person has to say? I want to talk about that. It's going to be really cool. Check this out. I think when we compare our own impressions of our voice, that we evaluate our own selves socially, okay? leading many people to be upset or dissatisfied with the way they sound, because the impression of a voice, the first impression that we give of our voice when we talk, right, doesn't fit with the social traits that we want to project. So our voice doesn't convey the person we want to project. So we shy away from that. How much more true that is for singing. Now, another interesting study, this was a Stanford study, and I thought this was fascinating. Bilinguals, people that speak more than one language, but in this case, bi meaning two, when they have learned a second language before they turn the age of 16, this is really weird. They're less confident with their mother tongue than they are with their second language. And you're thinking to yourself, what? Let me explain. Within the second language, there's a freedom. And usually people that speak a second language don't necessarily live in that country or whatever, but there's a freedom of not having an expectation of living up to that speaking social status, let's call it. And they're able to sing in this social status that gives them the freedom to make mistakes, to make conjugation errors, grammatical errors, or whatever, and it's okay, they're speaking a second language. So they don't hold themselves to the same standard in a sense, and they're not relegated by a lot of growing up in that culture to the social do's and don'ts of speaking, whereas they are in their own language. So they're less confident and comfortable in their native tongue than in their bilingual second learned language or second tongue. Fascinating. Even though it's the exact same voice. The other thing is when you're bilingual, and I know guys, you're going, whoa, Ken, this is a lot of crazy hidden knowledge and information. I promise guys, if you just play it back, you don't have to get it all as I'm talking, through this whole thing. Play this session back and follow this step by step, because it'll be really cool in helping you build your confidence in this, all right? But so it's the same voice, and vocal inflections are very different in a different tongue than your mother tongue. Let me give you an example. We moved to Argentina many years ago so my son could play soccer. And my son and daughter were very fluent, especially my daughter, in speaking Spanish. Well, Argentines are very emotional, passionate people. And so in the English language, it'd be, hey man, how's it going? Pretty good. Did you see that game the other night? Man, it was good. And in Argentine, they said the same thing, but it was communicated very differently, and the vocal inflections were very different, right? Same person saying the same thing, two different cultures, two different languages. So inflection, emotion, passion, all this stuff plays a tremendous role in this. Diction. Now, raising and lowering your vocal tones and whatever. So oftentimes we hear our own voices in our mind, and like I said, and it sounds like Mickey Mouse. So we want to overcome that, and we want to practice some things that we'll get into in a minute. But we want to get out of this idea of speaking like Mickey Mouse, because the concept of being comfortable feeling like that you're hearing the tones that you want to come out of your mouth and throat are going to give you that passion and confidence to love your voice and love things that you say about your voice. And I'm going to ask you some questions about this in a minute. But I want to take a step back and talk a little bit more about speaking. And I find it interesting how monstrously huge rap has become. Now, I've never been a fan of rap music. But notice it's called rap music. How interesting that speaking is been put in the category of music. Isn't that interesting? Why? Because they say these things, most of the time it's not good stuff, but they say it with such confidence, such authority, such passion. They've got the mechanics of their mouth working for them really fast, the rhyming of it, and so forth. So you're used to it because you're used to hearing it a lot. But that isn't true of your singing voice yet, and we're going to get to where you're used to hearing your singing voice a lot. So it should be no surprise that you need to get used to your singing voice so that you're confident with it, right? It would just make sense. And don't be surprised either if it doesn't sound the same to your speaking voice. Like I said, my singing voice is very different than my speaking voice. So the other thing is, too, I want to remind you guys, every single voice is unique. Everybody has a unique instrument. It's not like everyone picks up the same guitar and plays the same E chord and it kind of sounds the same, though that's also different depending on the way you play. Voices are very unique. They're organic, it's like a fingerprint, okay? Now, this can be awesome because you can hate the sound of your speaking voice and maybe love the sound of your singing voice, or vice versa. Like, it can go, there's lots of ways this can happen. But I want to talk to you about a couple things that I want to talk about speaking, and then we'll get into singing, okay? This is another interesting study. This was also a Stanford study. And the study was that there was research at Stanford that said, when you say hello, that you are graded, it's going to be scary, okay? It's going to be a little scary. When you say hello, you're graded within a half of a second on whether or not you're going to be taken seriously or not, whether that person should listen to you, what you're about to say, if they want to hear what you have to say. Isn't that interesting? A half a second is going to set the tone for your whole song or your set or your speech or whatever that is. Now, this isn't always true. This is a study, and this is particularly related to speech and not singing. Singing's different because you get a whole song to win somebody over and so forth, which could be true for a speech or, whatever, a monologue. But I want to point out why this is relevant. It shows that your hello might matter more than you prepared or your clever anecdotes or your great answers to a speech or your great melody in a song. Your first impression, your first vocal impression happens the moment you answer the phone, let's say. Let's say you answer the phone and you say, hello, okay? That's the stock hello, right? Now, here's the problem. We're usually the most nervous when the first thing that comes out of our mouth. So if we're put on the spot or we're in the spotlight, right? The first thing to come out, hello. Oh, he's scared. I'm going to listen to that guy. He's got no confidence, right? So, but the first thing that comes out of our mouth, let's use the word hello, right? And the best way to make a great confident sounding impression is to be immediately confident about it. And we want to learn to do this first when we speak so that we can translate this to when we sing. This is a confidence issue. People don't love themselves or respect themselves enough or feel confident enough about, what will I sound like? What will I say? What would I do? How do I respond? All these things matter tremendously first in the speaking world of something we are already familiar with, and we translate that into the singing world, okay? So the best way to make a great confident impression, it's in the Science of People, this Harvard study was called. The first part of the experiment said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to say hello a few different times. Okay, this is where you come in. You're going to get your phone out and you're going to do this, or your recording device, whatever that is. A normal hello is hello. It's normal. Okay, it's neutral. I don't know whether I like this guy or not, but I'm willing to give him a shot. Okay. Now there's different emotions into hello. What if I answer the phone, hello? You'd be like, this guy's a little happy, but okay, I'll go with it. It's called a micro expression, by the way. If I say, hello, oh, wow, that guy's bummed out. I'm only talking one word here, the word hello, right? Move on. So we sadness, right? Angry. Hello. Oh, I don't want to talk to that guy, right? Think about this. One word, right? Expression. The opposing power. So as we say a normal hello or a confident hello, it opens the door wide open for other people taking us seriously, wanting to hear what we have to say. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. I won't be able to answer this, but I want you to ask yourself this question, all right? Have you ever spoken or sung, but I'm talking speaking right now, anything where you've liked the sound of your voice? Think about it. Some people say no. I'm going to beg to differ with you. I'll tell you why. Maybe you whispered something to someone that you love. It could be your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, child, dog, pet, I don't care. But let's say you whispered something to them. And let's pretend that some cosmic recorder recorded that and played it back to you and heard the tenderness and the love and the care and the gentleness of that. I guarantee you, if you listen back, you'd say, yeah, he makes a point. I did like the way I said that. I did like my heart in that one thing that I said to a loved one. Maybe a dying loved one or something. You wished you had recorded it so that you could have that to play back. A yell or a scream at a sporting event. Yeah! yeah. You played it back on, wow, man, I was excited. That was a good scream, right? Think about it. Or, like I said, how about a prayer? You're praying that, someone that's sick, and by the way, you can even have these thoughts in your mind because you actually, when you talk and you speak and you do this on your own and you pray or you communicate something in your mind, you actually hear yourself in your own voice. Isn't that interesting? And you can go, wow, I like the way I prayed that. Or that meant so much to me that it wasn't so much that I loved the sound of my voice, but I loved the expression of my voice, right? Or how about this one? A joke that you told, or an impersonation of a character, a comic character, or a joke from a comedian or something. Hey, what's the deal? I did a pretty good impersonation. I'm proud of myself. There's all kinds of things that we don't even recognize and realize of things that we love about our voices, are our expression, right? Welling up of the soul. Remember what the first quote was. All right, one thing all of your favorite singers, I want you to think about this, have in common is that they all had to get used to the sound of their own voice. No exceptions. All of them. Me, all of them. They didn't just go, oh man, I got great. No, they had to get used to their own voice. They had to practice and practice hard at it. Now, we're going to have to record ourselves a fair amount. Okay? Be okay with this. Even if you still don't like the sound of your voice, we're going to find things you love about it. All right? To sing or speak and sing in recorded tones, I would recommend you start speaking first. And let's say it's a poem or a phrase or something that you love, something that touches you, or that you can say that could touch others. Now, I want us to get outside of ourselves and remind ourselves. Remember last time we talked about the why we're doing something? Why do we want to sing? We're going to do that here too. I'm not going to belabor that and repeat it because I've already covered that in the last live stream. But doing something that's beyond yourself. You're screaming out to someone to save them from a railroad track, that's got a train that's coming. Someone that's about to fall. Someone you're praying for in this time of COVID-19. Something. But it's something that's beyond your own self-worship. Okay? And when you do this, you're going to go, wow, yeah, it makes me feel good. It does. It makes me feel good to say something sweet to someone, to say something kind to someone, to be generous, to be loving, to be caring, to be thoughtful. And you're going to go, I love that. I love that about me. That's me doing it. And I'm going to make it a point to be positive and caring and loving. And those things, those attributes that are world attributes. It's not just, some weird, metaphysical thing I'm dishing out right now. No, these are universal things that we all love that people will love about you when you do it. Did Mother Teresa have an amazing voice? No, she sounded like an old woman. But when she spoke, it was disarming. And everyone listened. Think about that. Isn't that interesting? An old woman speaking for Calcutta, India, saving all those orphans. And whenever she spoke, everyone listened. She could hardly write anything that the world didn't take note of. Think about that. Very interesting. So, as we move on, the way you perceive the sound of your voice, like I said, is different than how other people perceive it. That's true. But you can correct it. Now, I want you to think about this. You're going to say, no, Ken, I really can't correct it. Oh, guys, come on. Get over it. Get out of take your training wheels off for a second. Let me say this another way. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. What do? You go to the mirror and you look at yourself. You go, man, I look like heck today. Or, I'm not looking so bad. It's a good hair day. Looking good. I'm going to go out and impress, right? You do this every single day when you walk in front of the mirror. Every day. Well, guess what? We're going to do it with our voices. We're going to go in front of the mirror and go, oh, I look like heck today, but if I take a shower, brush my teeth, comb my hair, put on some cool clothes, I'm going to be presentable, right? That's exactly what we do when we speak and when we sing, all right? So I'm associating these things to give you guys and cast a vision so you can see how this works. This is really cool and really important because it's how we get the confidence to do what we do and do what we love. And we do it with repetition and correct training. Yes, I have a singing course, how to sing better than anyone else. This goes before that. All this stuff goes before the technical side of the training, and we're going to get to a little technique here in a minute. And then once you want to go to the next level and get better and better and better and like yourself more and more and more, you get more training and you go back and practice this training. So as we move on, and I've got a couple things I want to mention. We're not going to be able to cover a lot of the technical side of exactly how we get there in this one, but we have a couple of webinars or live streams coming up. One particular where I will cover how to get to these. I'm going to touch on some of it today, but know that I can't do it all in one because you guys won't want to sit through yet another hour of live stream for me to get to that. So I will have a specific live stream on that. But anyway, either way, you're going to find that your ears adjust to the sound of your voice in your recordings and in your everyday life, and you'll become more accustomed to the characteristics and sound of your voice. And if recording yourself is vital because you get personal feedback and you can improve aspects such as the way you pitch your voice up and down. Now I want to get back to this. So let's say I'm going to come up with something stupid. So let's say I say, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is quite a dream. Okay, that sounds silly, but I'm trying to pick something so ridiculous and androgynous and innocuous that you're not going to have an attachment to it where you think of something. So if I say, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, life is quite a dream. I didn't say merrily, 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 I skipped that part, right? What if I said, row, row, row your boat! Oh, gently down the stream. Right? You'd be like, wait a minute, that's a contrast. Why'd you yell at me? Right? There's so many different inflections and ways that I can say and do things in a monotone phrase, something that's just very monotone. And I want you to practice certain things about your voice going, row, row, or hello, hello, hello. Now, here's a funny one for you, right? For my guy friends out there, because I'm a guy and I am proud of it, and I'm going to go hit on this girl at a table. It's a cafe. I'm going to walk up to her, and I'm trying to think of the first thing I'm going to say to her. Think about this, guys. You girls, to guys too. Mostly it's guys that aggress the girls, so I'm going one direction with this. The guy, you're sitting in your chair, and you're going, gosh, what can I say to this girl? I don't want her to get away. You know, I can't let her get away. Yeah, right? I don't want her to get away. I've got to say something where I'm not stumbling all over myself, that has confidence, that gets her to want to have a communication with me, to want to talk with me, interact with me at some level. I'm going to walk up. I'm going to think about it first. And I'm going to think about not failing and not chirping and not, right? And I'm going to say something like, you know, I know this sounds crazy and I'm not pervy, but man, you are a stunningly beautiful woman. And I don't know if you'd ever want to just maybe have a cup of coffee and maybe get to know each other or just have a conversation, but I could be a lot of fun. And I think I could actually make your life a little brighter, you know, come up with some kind of line, not cheesy giant line, but you work this up in your mind. Now, if I went, my name's Ken, and you wouldn't really want to know me, but I was perving on you from over there, and right? Think about that. Well, this is precisely the kind of negotiation we do in everything we do, and singing is no exception. Here we go. So you're going to find out that once you get accustomed to this and you start doing this with repetition and you're comfortable in your own skin, you're able to get to this. Now, I want to identify some common things that people hate about their voice, and I want to break them down real quick. So things you hate or you don't love about your voice. The number one is the fear of being judged negatively or laughed at. It imprisons people. It locks them up into their own body. And so your voice, you save your voice for singing in the shower. You can't risk that kind of, rejection in front of people. That's a good one right there. Thinking that your voice should sound like your favorite singer. Well, that is an absolute no-no. At least right now at this stage. Maybe later when you get some time under your belt and you're able to get some tutelage, some good voice lessons and whatnot, you can worry about that. But don't compare yourself to your favorite singer. That's ridiculous. Compare yourself to you. You be you, okay? You recorded your voice and you hate the way it sounds. Well, a lot of people do that. Like I said, I'm talking about things that people hate. Comparing your voice even just to other people. Maybe not your favorite singer, just your friend. So-and-so's got a better voice than I do. I'm timid, I'm shy. I'm going to get to that in a minute. You were told that you can't sing, just like Enrico Caruso, right? Barbra Streisand, Elvis Presley, right? This is completely ridiculous and untrue, folks. Still, we buy into this belief. We're told it so many times, or society tells us this, or American Idol tells us something, or we've got to be beautiful to be taken seriously, or whatever that lie is. It's hogwash and baloney. And you're robbed of a lifetime of the joy of singing. Think about that. The culture, society is stripping you blind, ripping you off, and robbing you of the joy of singing. That's horrible. You had a bad experience, let's say, and you want to avoid having a repeat incident. Understandable, but you can still overcome it, and it's only one time. Do you remember me saying that your worst humiliation is only someone's momentary amusement? Remember that. Your worst humiliation is someone's momentary amusement. They don't go on in perpetuity and think about how funny that one time is that you sucked. People just don't do it. They don't care. They got busy lives too. It was funny for a minute and they move on with their life. They're not worried about your life. You worry about your life. Next one is comparing your own singing voice to someone else's is, by the way, the number one. So I wanted to bring that up. So stop doing this right now. But instead of comparing yourself and singing up to your singing voice to others or speaking voice to others, which is irrelevant and inaccurate, continue to improve on becoming a new and improved you. Don't worry about them. Worry about you. Okay? No one in this world can do a better job of singing or speaking in your own unique voice than you. Think about that. No one can do a better job of expressing themselves in their own unique voice than you. And you have a story to tell. I keep saying this, but it's true. And no one can express your feelings, your emotions, your experiences, all those things. No one can. Start loving that about yourself. Start loving that, hey, I don't care if I sound like Mickey Mouse. Hey, I don't care if I sound like Kermit the Frog, licking from his pee. Here I am, and I'm talking to you today. Now, let's talk about this for a second. What if I came to you, and everything that I had to say to you was just like this? But what if my information was so amazing that everything I said, you went, wow? Well, of course, I'm going to work on the frogginess of my voice, right? I don't want to sound like Kermit the Frog. But I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater if I had something really awesome to communicate and it was a message you needed. I'd listen to you. I've heard a lot of speakers like that. Tony Robbins, one of the greatest motivational speakers in the world. Whenever I hear Tony, I want to help him. I really do. Every single time I hear him talk, he sounds like he's struggling for every single. I want to give him breath. I want to show him. And yet we listen to him because he has a message that encourages and inspires us. He's not the greatest speaker in the world. His voice sucks. Lee Iacocca, all these other guys, they don't have great speaking voices, but it's the message they convey that sells millions and gets people to come back and listen and take their advice and apply it to their own lives. Very interesting. Now, I want to say something else. Michelangelo said this better than anybody. And in Italian, he said it, so I retranslated the Italian. He said, every block of stone has a statue inside it. And it's the task of the sculptor, to discover it. Let me say this again. Every block of stone has a statue inside it. And the actual word is that it's up to the sculptor to liberate it out of the rock. It's just this chunk of stone, in his case, marble, right? Chunk of marble. And it was Michelangelo's job to see Moses, the thinker, in the marble, right? Or not Moses, the thinker. Think about that. He did Moses too, by the way. But it's our job. We are clay. We're that hunk of marble. And it's our job as the sculptor to better ourselves and chip away the things that are going to present something beautiful to the world. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool. Anyway, so that's true. So it is with your singing voice. You have a perfect voice inside of you, and you need to discover it, find it, build it. Singing is your own experience, your thoughts, and your release of emotion. If you don't believe it and you don't do it, you won't live it. If you don't believe it, it'll never happen. right? So singing is all about you and how you choose to communicate your particular experience, like I said. And singing doesn't begin with your vocal folds, folks. It begins in the mind. Remember me saying you can hear yourself sing? I'm going to go right now. I'm going to say what I just said in my mind. It begins in the mind. I've just thought that thought in my mind, and I thought, wow, I just heard myself talk. It was interesting, and I was okay with it. And I didn't care what other people think, because it's about me and how I'm going to better myself, right? Your attitude can help develop your singing, and that's why practicing is important. Again, it's not practice that makes perfect, it's perfect practice. And the good news is that you can change the sound of your voice. If you want a lower, richer sound, we can work on that. In fact, in acting class, that's exactly what they do. And if you go to an acting class, they will walk you through the steps of singing in different timbres, in different characters. One day you're going to be a villain. The next day you're going to be Mickey Mouse. The next day you're going to be the bad guy again, right? So you've got all these different inflections and ways that you can recreate your voice. And we're going to discuss this more in a minute. If you talk too fast, they may slow you down. You know, you're going to want to change that, right? But regardless of how you sound now, you can learn how to sound better and great and love the sound. Be chocolate ice cream with your voice. It's all of these things working in concert with each other. Now, it's going to take some dedication and some consistent practice, so be prepared for that. And without a true commitment, guys, it's just the mere repetition of something is not going to do it for you. You got to be committed to doing this. And it needs to be repeated and redeemed and repeated with correct practice. So, as we get to this, stop being so critical about your sound so that you can do wonders with your voice. So stop. There's a famous public speaker, motivational speaker, and he says, stop worrying about the past. And he has a funny saying. He says, stop shoulding all over yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that. Stop shoulding all over yourself. You're fine just as you are. You have a story to tell. Let's start work on telling your story, okay? And being overly judgmental of yourself is going to build huge roadblocks, mental roadblocks, in where you want to go and getting the sound of your voice. Very important. So, start looking at yourself in the mirror, guys. How do you look today? How do you sound today? Did you work on it? Did you brush your teeth? Did you comb your hair? Did you shave if you're a guy or whatever, right? How are you presenting your voice to the world? How are you presenting your physical appearance? How are you presenting your voice? The first step to changing your speaking voice is to listen to your recorded sound, which can be done by using your phone, your computer, whatever. Locate it, play it, and do Michael rowed the boat ashore. I don't care, but speak something, preferably something that you like, a lyric to a song, whatever that is, and speak it. Say it in different inflections. Pick out things that you like about things that you said. Pick out things you don't like. And let's start to work on them together, all right? Now, after you've recorded a few sentences, I want you guys to write down. I know it sounds like a pain in the butt, but I want you to get out your diary or a notebook or something and say, I liked the third word that I said in this, or I like this prayer that I sang or say. And we're going to expound on that, and we're going to use that in repetition, things that you like, and we're going to then add something else, add a little something else, and a little something else, and continue to add on this like a chain to where you start to go, wow, I can talk for a whole minute, and I like the way I sound, right? All right, so don't expect the immediate results in the sound of your voice. We have to work on it. It's like going to the gym and working out. We've talked about that. But get a piece of paper out. Now, I said I was going to promise you things that people that don't love about their voice. I'm going to get into that right now. It's too whiny. I whine. I talk too fast. Or I talk too loud. I talk too high. Sometimes I talk, man, people don't even know what I'm saying because I can't articulate very well. I'm sloppy. Or sometimes I just talk too soft. Or sometimes I just talk too slow. And I talk really nasally. Or, I don't know, I'm just not that confident. I don't know. Or, I don't know, what do you think of my voice? I'm not sure what I should be doing. I'm too monotone, right? Breathy, crackly. I could go on and on and on. I'm nervous. Well, I just don't know. I mean, I'm just trying my best, okay? We can fix those things. All of those things are fixable and doable. Trust me. Now, soft palate. I'm gonna nail a couple of these because I want to talk about, well, Ken, Okay, you talked a lot about the rah-rah, and you gave us the great, positive, speech on how to do this. What's a practical application? I told you I'm going to do that in another live stream, but I'm going to give you some tips right here and now. Let me talk about one thing to start with. A lot of people suffer from nasality. They speak really nasally. A lot of singers do this too, and they sing really nasally, right? I want you to get a handheld mirror out, and I want you to look at the back of your throat, and I want you to practice on and I want you to raise that soft palate. La, ah, 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 ah. And I want you to practice this little ping of like you're yelling, Now, when I go, you notice I'm not going, it can't go into my nose, right? Well, that's precisely one of the exercises that a good speech pathologist will do, is to get you to learn how to raise the soft palate to eliminate nasality, or at least be able to control it, to manage it, all right? That's one thing. Yawning is really good for stretching, is a stretch exercise for the soft palate, and it actually helps from people that they kind of sound like they're just always speaking from their throat, and everything just kind of comes out here. That's another one. Speaking clearly and having a crisp clarity in the throat. So that yawning exercise produces that as well. Another thing is sometimes some people, they just, remember we talking about Kermit the Frog? Yep, that's a raised laryngeal position. It's your larynx right here. It's that thing called the voice box, or, your Adam's apple. And you take that Adam's apple and you do that It's the same exercise. And now, if I talk like that, may sound ridiculous. But as I do that, that lowers my larynx and keeps me from a froggy sound, right? Now, I could go on and on and on about this. Like I said, I'm going to cover a lot of this stuff. But you can do this with regularity. You can practice these things. Breathing is huge. We've talked about diaphragmatic support, so I'm going to include that in this practice session we have coming up. And I want to say other things. You could use the word yeah, 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 yeah. It's hard to go, yeah, right? That yeah opens up the throat as well and creates clarity. Now, we're going to do a couple things here that I want to also talk to you about is when you are speaking and you're speaking, let's say, kind of in a monotone voice, I want you to try to do it in different timbres. So let's say you're talking down here and I want you to talk, then I want you to talk up here, then I want you to talk up here, and then I want you to talk up. And I want you to work on going up and down registration so that your inflections when you speak have more emphasis. Now, a lot of people find, then you'll notice too, sometimes I'm way up here, sometimes I'm down here, sometimes I'm, hey man, right? Sometimes I have energy, sometimes I pull back the energy. Well, so it is with the voice. It's the ebb and flow of all these emotions and these articulations that helps people want to hear what I have to say or hear what I have to sing and are willing to give me a shot, right? And my confidence. I know what I'm talking about. I know from whence I speak. I'm telling you guys straight up. So you'll work on exercises like that will really, really help you a lot. Now, I want to talk about a couple of songs, for example. And I've said this song before, but I want to do it. Now, we all know Bruce Springsteen if we're older, right? And most of us think of Bruce Springsteen as born in the USA. I was born in this screaming, belting, at the top of their lungs, threshold kind of singing. However, you've heard me quote this song before, and I want to do it again. And the song is called I'm on Fire. Now, it's kind of interesting because I'm going to use a monotone voice as an example of expressing a story in such a way that it became one of his greatest hits. You've heard it before. Hey, little girl, is your dad at home? Did he go ahead and leave you all alone? I got a bad desire. Oh, my heart's on fire. That's the whole song. The whole song is that. Monotone, 3 notes, back and forth, no real big inflections in anything. But he was so in the story when he sang it, you can visualize the whole affair. It's an affair, a song about an affair, okay? And you go, wow. And it was so riveting and so captivating that it became one of his greatest hits. How ironic. The guy that's known for screaming and belting and screaming at the top of his lungs with Born in the USA is also the guy that captivated people with being very soft and very ginger and sensitive and very monotone in a song and sold the story. So it's not so much about how big your range is. Let's get this through our brains, guys. How loud or distorted you can sing. Now, I want to give a couple of the quick examples because there's a gal named Sade. You probably heard her voice, smooth operator, right? She's got a very nondescript kind of voice, but it's very mesmerizing. It's very comforting. It's very sexy, right? And you listen to her, you go, wow, I could listen to Sade for a long time without getting bored, without feeling intimidated. She sucks me in. She seduces me with her voice. Sinead O'Connor is not a great singer. We talked about this before. She's really not a great singer. But when nothing compares to you. And you got guys like Chris Cornell covering it. Her emotion and passion was so stark and so wow in the song that even with this really creepy, weird voice, she became a superstar. Annie Lennox, same thing. She doesn't have the greatest of voice, but that woman can sure tell a story and convey a message. Let's bring this more contemporary. Dare I say Billie Eilish? Some could say, she sucks. No, actually, she doesn't suck. She's kind of creepy and kind of like Lana Del Rey creepy, right? Almost on the dark side creepy. All good girls go to hell, right? However, with her light, very light approach to singing, kind of monotone approach to singing, she's got some decent range, but she's very engaging. Think about that, right? She doesn't have the best voice in the world, but look at what she's doing. She's taking over the world, winning the Grammys and all these things with her voice. In short order, you guys are going to start to develop a desirable tone, confidence, passion, and emotion, and this will inspire. Remember, sing for something beyond yourself. Don't just sing for yourself, though there's that. When you want to release an emotion release, make you feel happy, just feels good to sing. I get that. But also try to do this with a greater vision, a greater view that goes beyond that. Have fun, guys. Have fun by yourself. This is going to be a creepy one. I want you to experiment on this. I want you to literally humor yourself when you're singing or speaking. Tell a joke that you're going to chuckle at or something, but do something where you're humoring your own self and giving your own self your stamp of approval where you don't need it from anybody else. Sometimes I just crack myself up. Really, I'm not kidding. Forgive yourself. We all make mistakes, guys. Don't hold on to this. Stop shoulding all over yourself. I should have started before. I should have done this. I should have been in choir. I should have practiced more. Stop shitting all over yourself. Just do it. Get out and get started. When you make a mistake, move on. Don't allow that. Don't wallow in it. Don't allow it to take control of your life and your future. So if you sung a wrong lyric in front of people or whatever that is, forget about it. Surprise yourself. Try some things out of your control. Challenge yourself a little bit. Just for fun. Try a different style. Try a different vocal tone. Try singing, tiptoe through the tulips, won't you come with me and tiptoe, right? And you might surprise yourself and go, wow, that wasn't so bad. I mean, it wasn't quite like an opera singer, but not bad. Do you think that Dimash started out singing soprano? He probably tried it one day and went, hey, I can do that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to practice that. He didn't just all of a sudden end up with a soprano voice like that. He probably was doing a lot of, alto, contralto stuff, or maybe even just baritone and tenor stuff, and then tried it and went, hey, and I can do this too. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm going to try something different. So try singing in different styles and different, music that you love. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. We can be so hard on ourselves, and that's natural. We want things and we want them fast, but we can't have them that fast. No one's perfect, and you can't expect yourself to be perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, guys. I make mistakes in singing and elsewhere all the time, right? But I just keep practicing over and over again to minimize those mistakes and manage them. Learn how to, now this is going to sound really esoteric, metaphysical, and I don't mean it to, but learn how to love yourself. And do it in different ways. Let me explain this. One of them is take care of yourself physically, emotionally. Don't hang out with a bunch of negative people that tell you can't do it. Hang out with like-minded people that encourage you, that want you to get better, that are excited to see you grow, excited that you found a passion that you love, that you're pursuing, right? Very few people actually pursue their passions, and they go through life and they go, man, that sucked. I went through my whole life and I never did what I really wanted to do. Do what you want to do. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about other people. Stop pleasing other people. Please yourself. And I don't mean that in an egocentric, narcissistic kind of way. I mean, just wall out the negativity and care about you and do what you love, right? And another thing is journal your progress and make a list of your accomplishments. So as you're going through them in your diary, you go, oh wow, I got 10 things that I never, if I hadn't set out to do these 10 things, I never would have accomplished them. But I did. By the way, this is true for more than just singing. This is true for life, not just singing. This is like, what do I want to be when I grow up stuff, really. And I'm just applying this to singing if you really think about it, right? The next thing is self-worth. If you walk into a room and you want people to take you seriously, you have to have some self-worth. You have to believe that you have something worth saying or communicating to expect or want other people to hear you. Very important. Another thing, give credit where credit's due. Hey, I did do that. I did accomplish that. Right on. I feel good about myself. I was able to pull that off. Work on your own self-trust. That's a biggie, really. Think about that. A great way to show yourself self-love in a proper context is to trust yourself and your own instincts. Don't trust other people. You can get at people's opinions, that's fine, especially people you trust and love and know that have your best interests at heart. But trust your own gut instincts too, going, I still think I can do it. My name is Enrico Caruso, and I still think I can sing, no matter what this coach says to me. Or my name is Barbara Streisand, and no matter what these guys think, I'm really going to still pursue this. I think I'm Elvis, and I'm the king of rock and roll, right? I got it in me. I don't care what they have to say. I said take care of yourself physically also. Try to eat right and get some exercise and do some good things for yourself. Guys, I could go on and on and on, and I hope you learned some stuff today and why you hate your voice and how we're going to fix that. And when you don't love your voice, what it is that you can do, the little nuances and things that I said. And again, stay tuned for the next time I'm going to come around. It won't be the next session, but I'm going to do a session specifically on this. And a couple last things here. I've got a lot of notes here, but I want to say, take responsibility for this too. Don't push it off. Get started. Get started now. Don't say, well, when I get some time, or I'm just not that good at it, Ken, I'm going to give up. Well, then you are going to give up. And guess what? No one in this world is going to get to hear your song. Your song died with you. Don't let that happen. Take responsibility. Take good condition of your instrument. Get some lessons. I got a singing course. How to sing better than anyone else. You don't even need to buy my singing course. Go on YouTube. Get all the free tutorials you can. Sign up for my singing forums. We've got a lot of people in there. 18,000 people in there. All talking about this stuff. How to get better. Think about that. The next thing is, when you're going to sing, when you do decide to sing or speak, try to do some gentle warm-up exercises. Even some of the ones I have on YouTube. They will help wake up the voice so that you don't start out with a froggy voice like it's in the morning or something, and chirping and choking and cracking. You have a command of warming up, waking up the voice gently, so that when you do go to perform or speak or whatever that is, then you've given yourself every advantage so that you can love your voice. You can love the sound of your voice. The next thing is don't judge yourself on, remember the analogy of the flower that I gave last week? It's a seed. You plant the seed in the ground, put a little water on it, it grows. Be cool with the stages that you're going through on all of this, because we're going to look at these stages and you go, excellent, you're right where you should be. You're right on target. You're right on track. Stay there. Now the next stage will be X. I just posted in my pro singing forums, one of my younger singers, and she just turned 14, and her name's Jordana. She's a love. She's a real beautiful young lady. And, she's going through the growth stages of becoming a woman. And it's interesting because she's already had a great voice, but she had a great voice for a 13-year-old, and now we got to have her have a great voice for a young woman. So there are stages that we go through. Is she going to beat herself up and go, I'm chirping, or my voice is dropping, for you guys out there and girls, whatever, and so I'll never make it, No, we work on it. There are stages we can do this and be okay with. So remember, you guys, we're singing songs. We want to communicate our story to the world. Remember, you are the song. Let me say it again. You are the song. Sing your song. People want to and need to hear your song. And next week, we're going to have Sing the Best Notes of Your Life next week. Next Thursday at 9 a.m. I'm going to open it up for a few questions, guys. I know this went a 1-hour monologue, but hopefully this was advantageous to you and encourages you and lets you know that this is how it's done. All right, let's see what we got. Robert. I heard John Lennon and even Jimi Hendrix hated the sound of their voices. Yes, that's correct. That's true. Lennon actually didn't even want to sing several songs. He wanted Paul to sing them. And Paul said, no, I can't find myself in the song. You sing the song. So John Lennon went on and sang some of the songs. Walrus, Lucy in the Sky. There were several songs like that happened with. So that does say a lot about it for most all of us, which is amazing. Nikolai, my voice can be powerful, gentle, and something in between. To be honest, I think this is of me, and this is exactly what I love about this. Yes, thank you, dude. I agree with that. I try to be direct, not arrogant. I'm just intuitive. But there are some things that I don't like. For example, my accent and the high voice in some situations, which are not fitting in well. That's exactly what I said. So we work on that. We practice that. And we practice in what we call game situations. So we rehearse things like, all right, well, I'm going to put myself in a practice mode that what if I was in a game and I had to do this? Or what if I was in a performance and I had to do this? So we go through the motions of that in practicing. In fact, I cover that in the section on fear and anxiety. I cover that in my singing course. And guys, I'll do one of these on fear and anxiety too, so stay tuned. I'll get to that. But really good point there, dude. Zena, I'm definitely going to write that quote down about your humiliation, momentary amusement. I think I recall it wrongfully. Well, let me repeat it. Your worst humiliating moment is someone's momentary, what did I say? I forget, amusement. That's what I said. So your worst humiliation is someone's momentary amusement. It's the truth. Sometimes I say things and they just come out. But anyway, Emerson, Cruz, Ken, sometimes I do not like to hear my recorded voice. I hated my recorded voice early on. So we find nuances, like I said. Pick a poem, pick a lyric in a song, speak it first. See what things you like about it in a recorded mode, and then come back and we'll reduplicate those in a singing mode. And we'll probably have to change the key of the song and this and that to fit your tessitura, which is the sweet spot or the best part of your voice, and that's okay. Be okay with that. It's okay. Jillian, Tina Turner didn't believe in her singing. Okay, by the way, let's talk about that. Ike and Tina Turner. How do I say this one? Not get in trouble. She used to get beat physically by Ike Turner. Ike and Tina Turner. That was the duo way back in the day, and she became Tina Turner. And many times it was over her terrible performances. Well, the world tries to beat it out of us too. It's unfortunate she was in that kind of relationship. She got out early and became Tina Turner. Thank God. That was true. Donny Hathaway was not such a great guy either. And there were quite a few of those guys back in the day. But don't let the world beat it out of you. Pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. Get away from those kinds of people. And you're right. She thought she sounded terrible, but it was the rough edges about her voice that we love, right? That's what you just said. That's what we like about it, right? Proud Mary, all those songs. Jivan Aral, I have one of the vocal cords. You have paralyzed vocal folds. Okay, I've done a vocal therapy, but no positive results. What should I do? Well, I don't know who you're getting therapy from. I have rehabilitated a lot of vocal paralysis over the years, so there are very doable things. I have a new course coming out. It's called Vocal Repair or Voice Repair. Javon, it's going to be fairly inexpensive. I'm going to try to keep it around $50 if I can. I recommend you get it and work on it. I cover that in Voice Repair. Stay tuned and check back on my website, KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com, and do it. It will help you. All right, gang, there's a few more questions and comments. I just want to say for my notification squad, guys, don't forget to ring that bell. If you want more cool videos coming your way, I want to say join my notification squad. I need you guys, and the more of this information we can get out to our friends and family, the more it's going to help people that we love, not just ourselves that want to learn how to sing, but also encourage others to do the same. So I will see you guys every Thursday at 9 a.m., every Saturday at 9 a.m. So our next one is this coming Saturday. So I look forward to seeing you then, gang, and God bless you. Until next time, peace out.